An introduction to our study, Myth, the Distortion of a One-Time Known Truth. Proverbs chapter 1. This is out of the King James Version. While many today are calling a book a myth, or just metaphors, relating it to Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, something we once believed, yet now, in what they might call maturity, no longer believe. They believe, in place of this so-called book of myths, the Bible, they believe in something so far-fetched that even a child will put them to shame. That is, if that child was not indoctrinated by our current education system, from pre-first to college, from the world around them, including such places as Disney World and government-run TV. Hear what this so-called book of myths has to say to them. Little do they know, but they are the living fulfillment of what this book, the Bible, is saying, thus will be considered willfully ignorant. Romans chapter 1, verse 20. For the invisible things of him, God, from the creation of the world, are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so they are without excuse. 2 Peter 3, verses 3 through 7. Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lusts, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. For this they willfully are ignorant of, that by the word of God the heavens were of old, and the earth stood out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. But the heavens and the earth, which are now, by the same word are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. See what Peter saw. Walking after their own lusts, their ideas, opinions developed cut off from this invisible God. This God that they call myth. All things continue. They would say that it's evolving in an upward trend, not downward, as evidence proves. Are willfully ignorant. I mean, it's not for lack of knowledge. We know what the truth is. The same evidences that they have, we have, from a creation standpoint, compared to evolution. Heavens were of old. It's always been the heavens that we see up there at night. You look up out there into the starry sky. Those same heavens held their patterns. Same patterns from the beginning still hold their positions. Something I will develop later that brings out this distortion of a one-time known truth. So let's take a look at what is clearly seen, as Romans chapter 1 was saying. A natural view of this universe at first. According to these pictures that I'll be giving to you coming off this website, I'll put it in the link spot down later on. You can go to that link and take these pictures yourself. Note, as you view these pictures, they believe this all came about by what they have called the Big Bang. They believe that what you will review here came about by disorder and chance. In other words, they believe that you get functional complexity that you see in these pictures. Man, it's awesome. By disorder and chance. They were just flung out there, and that's the way it ended up after the Big Bang. You are the creation of a one-time accident, of course, with their large hadron collider, as LHC, as the world's most powerful atomic smasher, successfully entered a new phase of exploration. They claim to have created a mini Big Bang. Here's that article for you. I'll put that link down there as well. Scientists create world's first mini Big Bang. That's what they're trying to do. You know, they want to recreate so they can be real science. They'll recreate the Big Bang. And it appears that people say, "Man, God, you don't want to do that. You're gonna put everything right back to where it began." What happens to us? Well, so let me now give you the 26 pictures to rethink all of this. Well, this is the first picture. This is the Earth. This is where we live. Imagine that. Here you are, maybe a little speck over there. In comparison to size, it's huge. We say the Earth is huge, big. All right, from our view and perspective, we're living in a narrow little world in our narrow little minds, thinking we are sufficient in ourselves, in our little world, in our narrow minds, to comprehend not only the seen world, but any world that may be unseen. Let's move on now to the second picture. This is where you live in your neighborhood. This is the solar system. Now, you got all this in school. We all had this, right? There was the sun, there's Mercury, Venus, there we are, Earth. Now, the average point in our little world, And then there's Mars, and the asteroid belt, and then you have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto with the question, they don't know if that's really there and all that kind of stuff, you know. And then that's just our little world. That's all we know. Now it's getting bigger, our little world. You get off the planet, and then we start seeing that we're comparison. Well, he gets into all that comparison. Let me move on. Here's the distance to scale between the Earth and the Moon. Now, it doesn't look too far, does it? There's the Earth. Then you went all the way over here, and there's our Moon. And we say, well, that don't seem to be too far. Well, let's go move on. Think again. Inside this distance, you can fit every planet in our solar system nice and neatly. So there would be our Earth, and there would be each planet we just mentioned in between there, and there would be our Moon. Now you get some idea about the distance. With about 8,030 kilometers, or 4,990 miles to spare. Yeah, that's now the world's all of a sudden getting a little bigger here. I'm thinking, get out of our own little shallow little minds in our little world, right? Let's talk about planets. This little green smudge right here is North America on Jupiter. Imagine the United States of America being on Jupiter. That would be that little smudge right here compared to Jupiter. Moving on. Now, here's the size of the Earth. Well, 6 Earths. Compared with Saturn, there's 6 Earths. 6 times the size of the Earth compared to Saturn. Imagine that. Moving on. Just for a good measure, here's what Saturn's rings would look like if they were around the Earth. Now, you were down in South America. That's all you for Ecuador, the equator in that area. That's all you would see. A straight, long, white line going around your world, up in the sky. From Polynesia, you would get somewhat of a glimpse, better glimpse of it. From Alaska, all you're going to do is get the outer rim of it. Now, from Washington, D.C., maybe they ought to look up if we had something like that. They might be amazed by seeing such a thing like the rings of Saturn going around the world. If Earth had rings like Saturn. Okay, this right here is a comet. We just landed a probe on one of these bad boys. Imagine that. Here's what one looks like compared with Los Angeles. There's the city of Los Angeles in comparison to the size of one of those comets. Unbelievable. Imagine if that hit here. He said it would terrify you. You don't think about it. Hear about it, but you just don't really think about it. But but that's nothing compared to our sun. Just remember, you are here. See that little speck down here? In comparison to the sun. Imagine in comparison to all these other planets. It gives you some idea. Now you're really getting to see a clearer view of this universe. Now, looking from the moon, here's you from the moon. If you were sitting on the moon here, that's how you would view the Earth. Now, we have all seen this. Now, this is nothing new. This comes from NASA. We've seen these pictures. We've watched the Discovery Channel. And we've gotten immune to some of this information. But really think about it. The distance between here and there, and the view, a changing of a view. We sit from the Earth looking back at the moon. We see all the different phases of the moon: full moon, you know, crescent moon, half moon. We see all these phases. But from the moon, you would see the Earth go through all those phases. Moving on. Here's you from Mars. Now, if you're on Mars, you know, and you got to look back at Earth. You're looking back at Earth. The sun's way over here. You're looking back at Earth. And that's what you would see. The Earth would be a speck in the sky. Like us and vice versa. If you ever look from Mars, you'd have to have a telescope. Or what would it be? It would be a speck in the sky. Here's you from just behind Saturn's rings. So from view from Saturn, there's what we would look like. A speck in the sky. And here's you from just beyond Neptune, 4 billion miles away. I mean, they had it magnified that because you looked doing you couldn't be able you can see it. They had magnified it. There it is. What you would look like. Now let's take a step back a bit. Here's the size of Earth compared with the size of our sun. Terrifying, right? And there it is, like a speck again, and he gets a close-up shot of what it would look like if our Earth, well, we wouldn't be, we'd be burned to crisp. We wouldn't be in a world. Thank God we're at the distance that we are. Moving on. Here's the same sun from the surface of Mars. Remember Mars? There it is. There's the sun. Yeah, at the distance of Mars. You wouldn't want to live. You couldn't live on Mars. We know that. No life could be there. It's not close enough to the sun. But that's nothing. Again, as Carl, he's talking about Carl Sagan, once mused, there are more stars in space than there are grains of sand on every beach on Earth. Imagine that. Doesn't that sound familiar? Biblical verse. As the sands of the sea, so shall be this nation. They're talking about Israel. Which means that there are ones much, much bigger than little wimpy sun. Just look at how tiny and insignificant our sun is now. There's our sun, that little speck. And this is a sun way out there in the distance in space. That's one of the suns out there in space. And our little wimpy sun. Things are getting real big now. Here's another look. The biggest star, VY Canis Majoris, is what is that? Hundreds, thousands, billion, 1 billion. Is 1 billion times bigger than our sun. 1 billion times bigger than our sun. My God, the vastness of this universe, space. But none of these compare to the size of a galaxy. In fact, if you could shrunk the sun down to the size of a white blood cell and shrunk the Milky Way galaxy, now that'd be under a microscope, sunk the Milky Way galaxy down using the same scale, the Milky Way would be the size of the United States. Imagine that. Oh, good. Okay, talking about clear view. Remember? A clear view? You need to get a clear view. And tell me this came by disorder and chance. Just flung out there. Just an accident. That's because the Milky Way galaxy is used. This is where you live here inside there. That's where we live right there. You can't see anything in a speck. That's the Milky Way. Now here's goes into vastness of space and just it goes on. Let me read on. But this is all you ever see. What? All the stars, you look up sky night, you see at night, are just part of this yellow circle. When you look up sky and see the billions of stars, all you're seeing is the circles within the framework of that little yellow circle. You're not seeing this. Come a clear view. We have our limited world, in our limited mind, on our limited planet, in our limited galaxy, and we think that we are sufficient in ourselves to evaluate anything. Paul said that. We're not. We're not sufficient in ourselves to evaluate anything, yet we attempt to. Well, we got Hubble telescope. Okay, we'll be getting into that. But even our galaxy is a little runt compared with some others. Here's the Milky Way compared to IC 1011, 350 million light years from the Earth. There's the Milky Way. It's a speck. There's Andromeda, the next galaxy. And there's another galaxy. Look at the size of that galaxy compared to ours. Good God in heaven. But let's think bigger. In just this picture taken by Hubble telescope, wow, we're seeing a lot. We got a clear view, no? There are thousands and thousands of galaxies, each containing millions of stars, each with their own planets. Imagine that. Here's one of the galaxies pictured UDF 423. This galaxy is 10 billion light years away. When you look at this picture, you're looking billions of years into the past. That's what they're saying. Billions and billions of years ago, this galaxy was put there. And what we're doing is getting the delayed lights of billions and billions of years. Now, I'll be getting to something when I hear a minute. In Isaiah 34:4, and all the host of heaven, everything I just mentioned, shall be dissolved. Imagine that. And the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down as the leaf falls off from the vine, as a falling fig from a fig tree. Metaphors, images, and similes to express a truth that one day our little planetary system, limited within our little galaxy, will be gone, along with all the billions of galaxies that are out there that we're not even sure is even there. We're getting the delayed light of galaxies that very well may have been already removed. I bring that out in a couple more other, the ultimate potential of God brings that out. Now, how can you be sure that what Hubble telescope is picking up, though magnified so they can see it, when it's billions of light years away? How do we know that even with this magnified telescope, that galaxy is even still there? They have done that. They've found some of them. They see it go into a black hole, and what appeared to be one time a galaxy being imploded and being dissolved. Explosions in heaven. You know, when did that explode? We wouldn't know because we get delayed light. They've been there since the creation of the world, and since the creation of the world, we're getting delayed light from that first created world. So we're determining the age of this universe from a limited standpoint and narrow mind, not realizing God placed them there, and He not only did He create it, He sustains it, and He will consummate it. And that's what Isaiah was talking about, the consummation. Revelation, this is the end. That's more or less in the beginning. Here's the end. And the heavens departed as a scroll departed, split as a scroll when it's rolled together. And every mountain and island were moved out of their places. You think that won't affect this world and our little narrow world, our little planet? You know, when that happens, it will. It'll affect us all. Talk about an EMPs, you know, electromagnetic pulse from such an act of blowing up a scroll. Now, I'm saying metaphors, images, and similes. It's not a literal scroll. But for shallow minds, they would think, well, see, that's a myth. The heavens aren't like a scroll, like a book with pages to it. We'll be getting into that. They are. This scroll encircles the earth. And just keep in mind, that's a picture of a very small part of the universe. It's just an insignificant fraction of the night sky. All from what looks like nothing. Imagine that. Well, I want to, one more. Here you know, it's pretty safe to assume there are some black holes out there. They see them. Here's the size of a black hole compared with the Earth's orbit, just to terrify you. That's our little orbit around our sun. You know, there's the Earth's orbit. This is the size of a black hole. You talk about a great sucking sound. Remember Ross Perot? Yeah. One day, that idea of it being rolled up, it will go back to where it came. Light shined out of darkness. We'll be getting some of that. Well, that's it for the pictures. That's somewhat of an introduction. I may be adding some thoughts here. I got part one, or chapter one to this, pretty well completed. This is just a brief introduction to get us past our narrow little world, our narrow little worlds, our narrow little ideas, and discovering that we're not really sufficient in ourselves to evaluate anything. We can't get, we've only been to the moon, you know. Will we ever get out there in space? You know, under science fiction movies, we got this idea of Star Trek, you know, Star Wars. Will we ever get there? I mean, only God knows. So let me end on that fact. God bless you.